Our hen house is a squawking house. Our hen house is their hen house. Our hen house, ooh, it's a funky fresh house. Our hen house is your hen house.
Hello and welcome to Our Hen House, a place to find our way to change the world for animals. Joining us today will be Sangamithra Iyer, who will be talking to us about her brand new ebook published by Our Hen House's own Hen Press, which explores some of the fascinating ramifications of what we have done to chimpanzees. She'll also discuss her work documenting the growth of factory farming throughout the world.
Then we will be joined by singer-songwriter Julie Gold, which is so exciting. Her work is world famous, and it's often been inspired by the animals she has known and loved. And not that many people know that.
No, I'm so excited about that. And plus, we'll be giving you the skinny on what's been happening with animals, and we'll be getting you up to speed on what's been going on in our little world. So please pull up some hay. Let's get squawking. Hello, Marianne.
Hello, Jasmine.
How are you doing?
I'm a little older than I used to be, but other than that, I guess I'm okay.
The good news is that you're older than you used to be.
Yes, because the alternative is bad.
It's very bad.
That's an old folks joke. That's the kind of joke we make.
Well, it was your birthday.
Oh, the alternative would be bad.
It sounds like a dad joke.
It was my birthday.
It was your birthday.
Last week.
The week before. Very recently, and it was your Beatles' birthday.
You love to say that.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me?
Yeah.
When I'm...
People my age know what age I am because they remember that song. Other people don't know. They have to look it up.
The song.
They have to look it up on the internet, which did not exist back then.
It didn't exist when I was a kid either. I was well into college.
I know, you're pretty old.
We have an age difference.
Yeah.
Minor.
Yeah.
Very minor.
Yeah.
But anyway, you are aging gracefully.
Thank you, sweetheart.
I could say the same about our dog Rose, but I'd be lying. I mean, she is...
Well, no, I don't think that's true. That's totally not fair.
No, you're right. You're right.
She looks great.
She's beautiful.
She's in good shape.
She's in great shape.
She's about 11. She's not that old.
But she is
she's 11.
She's like, this is my world, and you are lucky enough to be in it.
Yeah, she is getting a little sure of herself.
And she's getting like to be a crotchety old lady.
No,
which
she is.
You are not becoming a crotchety old lady.
Just wait.
The night is still young.
Let's see. She's 11. That makes her 77. So
Right.
there's some time for me to develop crotchetiness.
That's true.
And I intend to.
But Rose, however, our dog, is like just especially when you walk her.
She is.
She's like, no.
Well, if you want to go home.
Right.
She likes to go out, but then she doesn't like to turn. No matter how far you walk, no matter you keep going and going. The minute you turn around to go home, she's like,
you could walk to like China.
No.
She's like, no. Actually, that makes me think of that scene in The Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Where that
is such a great movie.
It's Caesar spoke for the first time and was like, no. Yeah, actually, I think we have a clip of this. It's my favorite scene. Let's take a look at this short clip.
Take your stinking paw off me, you damn 38!
Yeah, that's her.
I know. I can't.
It's totally her.
I
mean, she doesn't beat people up.
No, she's gentle and darling.
She's very sweet.
But that's our dog.
Yeah.
I love that. You know what's so cool about that video, of course, is that the ape used in it and all of the primates, the non-human primates used in The Rise of the Planet of the Apes were CGI, computer-generated imagery.
Yeah, no, it's the way of the future. Though you like to call it animatronics, which is the thing they used to have at Disney World.
Yeah, like
it's a small world after all. But it's CGI. It's a lot better than that. It's amazing.
It's really amazing.
It's really the way of the future.
Well, it gives me hope to know that we can actually have animals in entertainment without exploiting them, because we're not using them at all. We're not actually using the animals, because when you think about it, any time we're using animals for any purpose other than what they're instinctually doing in their life, or there's going to be some kind of manipulation involved.
Totally.
And usually it's not so benign.
No, this is not benign at all. I mean, there was that big expose in the Hollywood Reporter, of all places, not an animal rights rag by any means. It was last December, very recently, and they did a huge expose about the "No Animals Were Harmed" label that the American Humane Association, that's the organization that's kind of hired to do this, to go onto the set and make sure no animals were harmed. And that label does not mean what people hope it means. So in fact, a lot of animals are harmed in making movies. And they're there's an odd financial relationship between American Humane and the movie industry. They make they make millions of dollars in their contracts. And also, sometimes they put labels on that say things like, American Humane Association observed the filming of this movie, which kind of implies to people that everything was okay, but it means exactly the opposite. If that label is on there, it means something bad happened.
Observed.
And too often, bad things do happen.
Right. Well, of course they do. But I am given hope by CGI. And most recently, there was the film Noah, which was all CGI. And I do, before we get into that, because this is another reason to be given so much hope that we can have this as the wave of the future, we also have this short clip from The Animalist, which shows some of the movies that have been particularly controversial over the last couple of years, starting with The Life of Pi and a kind of horrifying email that was sent from the American Humane Association worker who was supposed to be there protecting the animals. Let's play that clip.
The Bengal tiger in The Life of Pi almost drowned on set in 2011. It reads, "This one take with him just went really bad and he got lost trying to swim to the side. Damn near drowned. Don't mention it to anyone, especially the office." Also, did you know that up to 27 animals, including goats, chickens, and horses, supposedly died during The Hobbit? And multiple fish and squid were claimed to have perished during huge underwater explosions in Pirates of the Caribbean. Also, a husky was allegedly punched during the making of Disney's 8 Below.
Wow. Wow.
No, it's pretty bad.
It is, but then on the other side of that, you have Noah, which I just mentioned, and Noah is this movie that's out. We actually just saw it. It was the first movie we've seen since like E.T. or something. It's been a long time since we've been to the movies, but we heard about what was going on and how they were using CGI for all of the animals in Noah, and it just really blew my mind that all of this is possible.
Yeah, I think it's not only possible. There's a lot of stuff that you couldn't do with real animals that you can do with CGI that makes it a much more interesting movie. But about some of those stories that they were talking about in that clip, this happens all the time. Those animals on the set of The Hobbit, one of the things is that they weren't injured during the actual filming. The filming was on hiatus, but they died of exhaustion, some of them drowned, and just because they're not actually doing the filming at the time does not mean that you can just leave off the label that no animals were harmed during the production of this movie. Clearly they were harmed, and this is just happening too much. Sometimes they say that the animals weren't harmed because the harm wasn't intentional. But of course, it's never intentional. Nobody's trying to harm these animals.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, or that it was done in transit. That's what happened in the Spielberg movie. That one of the horses,
Warhorse,
died in Warhorse.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what's so sad to me personally about Warhorse is that the first time we were exposed to it, we had seen it on Broadway over at Lincoln Center, and of course there was amazing puppetry, and you're kind of brought into this make-believe world of really by the middle of the play believing that you're looking at a horse.
It really was unbelievable.
And then the movie came out, which of course we didn't see because we knew that, well, A, it was exploitative, and B, we knew about the harm being done. But it was so sad because we had seen it done without using actual animals. And I do wonder if CGI could actually really take over in Hollywood.
I mean, certainly when horses are involved. I mean, horses are the most vulnerable. They're incredibly vulnerable, and they're injured all the time in the movies.
Well, even in The Rise of the Planet of the Apes, even though the apes were CGI, there were horses used. And I don't even know if we necessarily think about that. But in thinking about whether CGI could take over, I would really like to show this short video from PETA to see what they have to say about it.
The great ape. He's been forced to perform on television and in motion pictures for decades. Stolen from his mother at birth. beaten and abused behind the scenes. He'll end up discarded in a roadside zoo. Could you live this life?
Yeah, pretty unbelievable.
Unreal.
You fell for.
I totally did.
I
Well,
knew it was CGI before I watched it, so
I didn't.
but you didn't, and you fell for it until he picks up the gun.
Of course,
and it becomes obvious.
Of course, but that's the thing. I fell for it, and I was like, "Why is PETA using this
Yeah.
animal?" But it just
it's
goes
pretty
to
good.
show you what is possible.
I actually think more is possible because you can show so much more expression. You know, if you have to
Totally.
train an animal, they're just doing things by rote. It's not. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, it's so true. And
I think that Noah was well served by the use of CGI. They could not have filmed those scenes.
No way, not at all. And Noah is particularly interesting because in addition to not using any animals in the making of the film, there were a lot of vegan undertones in the film itself.
Oh my
First of all,
God.
Noah was a vegan himself in the movie, and this is played by Russell Crowe. And you know, if there's one guy you're not going to question where he gets his protein from, it's Russell Crowe.
He's a sturdy guy.
Yeah, he is, and it has been brought up in the media that it is vegan propaganda.
Well, it kind of is vegan propaganda, which to which I say, yay!
Yeah,
Why not?
right.
Bring it on. But in the movie, Noah is vegan
Mm-hmm.
and is horrified by the idea that people are hunting and killing animals, and his children are horrified by it as well.
Mm.
And it's actually one of the reasons that the creator, they don't use the term God, they use the term creator in the movie, is so upset with humankind, and humankind has become so violent and just one of the reasons that the creator has decided that it should be wiped out, except for Noah.
Well, I think
the
we
vegan.
I think we have some footage of just a very very short scene just to show you what we're talking about with the animals in
Yeah.
Noah. So let's look at that to show you what we're talking about. So incredible to see what is possible, and as we mentioned,
How could they possibly have filmed that?
No, of course not. Of course not. But it was so, one of my favorite scenes was at the very beginning of the movie when an animal was being hunted, and one of Noah's sons was with Noah, and he saw the animal being hunted, and he said, "Why? What's going on?" And Noah said, "Well, some people eat animals." And the son said, "Why?" And you and I just started cackling like in the theater. We're like,
You don't
"Uh-huh."
see that often
No.
in mainstream movies. It was really pretty startling.
But do you ever wonder if it's just us who thinks that these things are like animal rights manifestos?
Well, I don't know. I think that clearly there have been other people who have noticed. Some enthusiastic, some not so enthusiastic.
Yeah, totally.
About it being vegan propaganda.
But vegan propaganda in Hollywood is something that isn't going on enough. And with Darren Aronofsky behind these
Darren
huge
Aronofsky
films,
is the director.
he's
and
the
he
director,
is vegan.
and even the party was vegan.
Yeah, the big party for the movie
Right.
was totally vegan. Of course, that made the papers. Big
They
scandal.
served vegetables.
What a-
broccoli
what an
was seen
extraordinary
in
thing.
Hollywood. It's so amazing, and it made me think of the vegan food that we've had throughout the years at celebrations at these big hotels.
I'm sure the food there was very good.
probably a lot.
Darren Aronofsky probably has more clout than we do.
But you used to be the chair of the Animal Law Committee of the American Bar Association tips section, and we would wind up at these these big hotels, these big events where we were the only vegans.
We were the only vegans
and so
at a catered dinner.
and so they would give us a kind of oily asparagus, and we'd be like, what? This is not the best vegan meal I've ever had. But sometimes they were. That's
what we like to
That's what we like to
say,
say.
yeah.
We like to say, and sometimes we'd be like, what is going on? Like there was this one time where they brought out dessert, and I was like, ooh, a little cake.
Well, the meal had been not bad.
Not bad. It was corn.
in Colorado,
Right.
At some big hotel. Everybody else was having barbecue.
But they brought out dessert, and it was like this little individual chocolate cake, and I thought, yeah.
yeah,
and,
it was exciting.
And we
It was an exciting moment.
take our fork and we put it into the cake, and it went blah, blah, and we're like, what just happened? And it wasn't cake at all, and it wasn't chocolate at all. It was raisins.
Yeah,
it
they
was
kinda
as
stuck them
they
into a mold.
like you put them in a can, and they went like that. Boop,
It was bad.
And there were.
I mean, it wasn't anything but raisins. It was just raisins, stuck together, like when you were a kid and you would stick your raisins all together. Or you would pull them out of a little square box and they would come out in this perfect
Raisins.
square.
But anyway, I have to say that we are making some strides, and that's thanks to a lot of businesses that are opening. And one of the businesses that we've been talking about recently a couple times on the show is Lagusta's Luscious.
You talk about it
Because
constantly.
I love chocolate.
Constantly.
And I really like Lagusta's Luscious, which I've brought up before on the show, because when, I think it was first mentioned when Leanne Maley-Hilgart was on, and we were talking about Lagusta's Luscious is chocolate vulvas.
It's mostly because you would like an excuse to bring up vulvas on every episode, which that's all I'm going to say about it.
You feel a little uncomfortable.
Though they're very tasty. I do. I'm not kidding.
They're very tasty. But Lagusta has it.
Whatever you say, it sounds weird.
But Lagusta has this amazing chocolate company. It's based in New Paltz, New York, and she has lots of amazing chocolate. It's all fair trade.
Her chocolate is excellent.
It's all slavery-free and vegan, of course, and it's really good.
And she also wrote a chapter in that book that you also wrote a chapter
Yes,
in.
Defiant Daughters. Right, and we actually have that here. So this is an anthology that both Lagusta and I
That actually was not planned.
This was
just
not
happened
planned.
to be there.
We just happened to have it over here.
We carry everything we write with us
Actually,
at all
you wrote something in that, but we'll get to that during the next episode.
That's true.
Anyway, so Lagusta sent us some chocolate vulvas because she heard us discussing it on the show.
That was sweet
And I
of her.
said, okay, why I don't mind if I do. And she, like I said, she has many different chocolate, but this is, look at them. How cute are they?
They're very cute.
And are you going to eat a chocolate vulva?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. I think they have like salt and pepper.
I'm not that uncomfortable that I'm not going to eat them.
It's like, when did salt start appearing in chocolate?
I don't know, but whoever thought of it
Absolutely.
was a very smart person.
Yeah, no.
Well, pepper too.
Pepper in chocolate. Who would have thunk it?
It just makes it pop.
Well, it's so good. Anyway,
Another thing that I love salt on. Does it never end?
I have many jokes happening in my head right now.
Please don't make them.
I'm going to leave them there. But all of this fair trade, slavery-free, vegan chocolate is making me hungry for talking about ethics. And for I wrote that transition, and that's a weird transition.
I was going to say something, but I decided to let it go. But I had chocolate in my mouth.
That's why. But it's a good thing because I hear that our next guest, Sangamithra Iyer, has plenty to squawk about with us and even brought us a treat to eat.
I know. I'm so excited that people bring us food. And I am a huge fan of Sangu. And I'm even bigger fan now that I know she's going to feed us food, which I love. And really, the thing I adore about her the most is the way she thinks, which is really very original, and the way she writes. And she's been an activist and a writer for many years. And I'm afraid I have chocolate teeth.
Some chocolate vulva in your...
Most recently, she, of course, as you mentioned, she authored the ebook, The Lines We Draw, and that was the first publication of Hen Press.
Well, it was
which
the first
is just kind of unbelievable that it's our first
It's so good.
book. It's so good.
The Lines We Draw.
It's very original.
It's
not quite like anything else.
No, but in addition to chatting with us about The Lines We Draw, Sangu is also going to shed some light on her work documenting the growth of factory farming throughout the world. So as she's finding her way to the studio and getting mic'd up, let's take a look at a short segment of a documentary that Sangu narrated for the environmental think tank Brighter Green, which explores just that.
According to Humane Society International, India has more than 200 million egg-laying hens, the vast majority of whom spend their lives confined to battery cages. It is estimated that by the end of 2009, India will have produced 47.4 billion eggs. There are battery cage facilities throughout the country, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Punjab, and Haryana being the hotspots of egg production. These facilities range in size from 10 to 150,000 birds. They continuously produce eggs until they are 18 months old, at which point they are typically slaughtered and sold. The conditions in these battery cage facilities are distressing. It is not uncommon for the birds, who are agitated and tightly confined, to be covered in sores from rubbing against the cages day after day.
Wow, and you can find more at brightergreen.org. And welcome to our hen house, Sangu.
Thank you, Jasmine and Marianne.
We're so excited to have you here today. We have been, as Marianne was saying, and we were completely serious, we're big fans of the way you think, and we feel so lucky to be working with you as an author.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the work in the clip we just saw. But first, I'd really like to get to the book you've recently written, The Lines We Draw. And It's really a fascinating study, and it originally grew out of a conversation you had with Alfred Prince. Can you tell us a little bit about him and about how you came to talk to him?
Sure. I first want to say it's just been such a pleasure working with you both on this book project. It's been
thank you.
really wonderful. So Alfred Prince, he was a hepatitis researcher working with chimpanzees, and he started his work in the 70s at NYU's laboratory, LEMSIP. The laboratory,
really notorious
very
place.
notorious place. And there, the chimps were kept in very, very tiny cages alone, and he was very troubled by those conditions. So he decided to move the laboratory to Liberia, and he was working for the New York Blood Center. And there he developed conditions where he could house them in groups and have some outdoor use, but as you see in the piece, it's not without ethical complications.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, it's so interesting because, I mean, as you point out in the piece, we tend to think of people who experiment on animals as being very detached and not having any feelings, but you found his situation to be exactly the opposite, which is one of the reasons he decided to remove himself from LEMSIP and move to Liberia.
Right.
But how did that play out? It seems like such a contradiction in terms.
Yes, and it's very interesting. He also mentions the head of LEMSIP, Jamor Jankowski, and I was reading up more about him as well. And these are two men who are prominent in their field, and have made their living on this research. But you did see that they were troubled by this, and I think at NYU, the decisions that were made that were misguided, like Jamor Jankowski thought leaving them alone, they wouldn't fight, not giving them toys meant it'd be more hygienic, but it just led to such psychosis. And with Prince, he moved to Liberia, but he had all the same problems that you have here. It's like, where do you get the chimps? And he had to wild capture chimps first, and that means, targeting a chimp family in the wild and stealing their babies. And he didn't want to do it lethally, because previously they would, shoot a mother chimp and steal their babies. So they tried lethal anesthesia. Anesthesia, non-lethal anesthesia. But it takes a while for that to kick in. So there was one chimp that they shot and climbed 100 feet and then fell to his death. So all these things were very, very messy.
It's so often what you find out when you're dealing with animals, people try to find a good way to do it. There's not, and there may be a less worse way to do it, but there's no good way to do it.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit, because one of the most eerie parts of the story, I think, was his relationship with Mary.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes.
And how you felt when he
Yeah.
spoke about it?
So, we met at a restaurant in the Upper East Side, and he brought with him photos of Liberia and the chimps. And I was really struck by one of the captions on the photos, which was of Mary, and it said, "Who could not fall in love?" And so I thought that was strange. I'm here meeting him to talk about his research, and love is the word he used to describe one of his test subjects. And he told me a little bit about Mary, and he had passed away a few years back, and he also wrote his own memoir where he also talks about Mary. And he had this bizarre fantasy of mating with Mary and having a child that he would call Manzi, like a hybrid of a chimpanzee and a man.
When did you first find that out from him, that this was... What, did he tell you this?
He told me this. We were,
And you're sitting there, he's sharing a falafel or whatever.
Right, and I'm having my lemonade, and it's not strong enough.
How does one react to that? I mean, that's just mind-blowing.
Well, he told me he was writing his memoir, so I was like, wait a minute, is this fiction? And he's like, yeah, this is just his fantasy. He was writing a novel that was separate from this other work of his life. And he had told me that, he believed that, potentially, he thought it was an interesting idea,
Right, that it was, and that there seemed to be something kind of off ethically or meant, I don't know.
But it turns out that these relationships are a lot more complicated than we tend to think of them as.
Right.
It's so
People
startling.
get involved.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting because I think, and when I was reading his memoir, he came to the conclusions that perhaps chimps and humans are the same species. And he thought if they mated and if they had children, and the children weren't sterile, because that's usually what happens when you have these hybrid species, that we would be the same species, and then it would have ethical implications, for research. And I'm like, there's also ethical implications of this whole scenario.
And there are ethical implications even if they're not the same species. I mean, what does that have to do with, it's so odd.
Yeah, well, I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about the advances that have been seen for chimpanzees in this country of late, because you know quite a bit about this. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Sure. There have been a couple of developments just, in this past year. This summer, 2 federal agencies made big announcements about the fate of chimps in U.S. labs. You had the National Institutes of Health, after a previous study that the National Academies of Sciences, Institute of Medicine conducted. They learned, they came to the conclusion that chimpanzees in medical research are scientifically unnecessary for the most part. And which is a big deal for, these federal agencies to admit that.
Huge. Absolutely unbelievable. I was flabbergasted when it happened.
Yeah. And then
enormous step forward.
Yeah, and the NIH decided that they are going to retire most of their chimpanzees and reduce the number that they have, which is a big deal. The U.S. is still behind other countries that have, banned this practice, but that's a big deal. The other thing is, chimpanzees in the wild are an endangered species, and which is also really sad when you think about us having this 6 million year shared history, and in the last 30 or 40 years we really messed things up for them. But captive chimpanzees weren't granted that endangered status, and Fish and Wildlife Service, which regulates the Endangered Species Act, this summer concluded that we really can't separate the captive chimpanzee from the wild chimp, and captive chimpanzee should be considered endangered too, which has implications for...
that has enormous legal implications.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot of progress for chimpanzees. Unfortunately, not so much on the factory farm front, and I did want to get to your work because I know you do enormously important work. Talking about the growth of factory farming worldwide, can you tell us a little bit about what's going on in India?
Sure. So I've been doing some research with the environmental action tank Brighter Green, and we had done case studies on the growth of factory farming in India and China and Brazil and Ethiopia. In India, I think many people are very surprised by...
Because they revere their cows, or that's what it's said to be, but what's going on there briefly?
So, India is not a majority vegetarian country anymore. The numbers may be 30 to 40% vegetarian. You have a lot of growth going on in India. You have urbanization, globalization, you have this growing middle class that's having an increasing appetite for animal products, particularly in the chicken sector, and eat eggs and...
Both eggs and poultry.
Yes. And we'll get to cows in a bit. I had gone to India in 2009 and visited various battery cage egg farms, as well as poultry farms and chicken slaughterhouse. And it's really bizarre because India is in this weird transition, and it's at this very interesting crossroads. And what was really fascinating, again, these are these very complicated stories where I was guided to these facilities by these self-called poultry barons, who they themselves were vegetarians. They themselves did not eat eggs, and yet they were in this industry. And we went to a chicken slaughterhouse, which was very difficult for me. But there's also this very Indian hospitality. So you go to the slaughterhouse and there's a meal prepared for you, and it's a vegetarian meal because the owner is the manager is a vegetarian.
It seems like a transition in such the wrong direction.
Exactly.
What about cows?
Yeah, because cows have a special place in Hinduism.
Yes. So, there's a lot of cows are revered.
Right. They seem so. That's what everyone says. That's what I haven't been, but yet.
The reality, there is a disconnect. So you have, beef is prohibited in most states, but there is slaughter in some states. There's also a vibrant illegal trade. But India is a large beef producer just because it has, you know, this huge cow and buffalo population, 300 million, the largest in the world. And what is happening is that it has a huge dairy industry. It's the world's largest dairy. And the fate of those cows is they're in the dairy when they're no longer productive. Either they're illegally shipped to slaughter or they're let go on the street. And that goes the same for their male calves.
Wow.
And many of them are, so the fate once they're on the street is they are foraging through garbage on the street. They might be taken and shipped somewhere where it is legal to slaughter. They might be taken somewhere illegally slaughtered. Sometimes beef is sold as mutton on the market. And then the government is also rounding up these cows from the streets. So I think there's like this notion like, oh, the cows are on the streets, everyone cares about them, but no one's really questioning like how they got there. And you know, the dairy industry plays a large part in that.
There's so much to talk about with this, and I definitely want you to come back and talk to us more about this, but I have a personal question, because I know that you live here in Brooklyn, and you love it here in Brooklyn, and you brought us some food to try today, and I want to just tell me what you brought as I'm grabbing this and bringing it out for us.
So I brought two different things. First, we were talking about the availability of vegan options in non-vegan places. And one thing that has been popping up all over Brooklyn are these Vietnamese sandwich shops, so banh mi. And this is from a place in Park Slope called Henry's, which is, I think, probably near you guys.
It is very near, and we've had their faux-faux.
Yeah,
we like to say faux-faux.
Their faux-faux is amazing. But they also have sandwiches, and they have tofu options, vegetarian ham, and...
So this is that sandwich?
Yes.
Okay, so it is interesting that you're saying that you can get a lot of vegan options at non-vegan restaurants here in Brooklyn. This is something we talked about recently with Piper Hoffman. And so what is this that I'm now generously spooning?
So now this is from a vegetarian restaurant, a new vegetarian restaurant, Hartwell Vegetarian.
Oh, we have not made it there yet.
Yes.
This looks amazing.
And I just moved to Kensington a couple of years ago, and this is a big, exciting new joint. It's in Ditmas Park. It's on Cortelyou near Coney Island Avenue, and you can get these lovely platters with assorted veggies and soy proteins, and it's quite delicious.
Amazing.
And I think both of these things, we're in spring, but summer's going to be around the corner, and I love.
This is very good.
So is the sandwich. They're both very good. And I'm just, there's the problem with having people like Singu on is that there's so much we want to talk to her about.
I know.
And we could just, I have said.
I have barely scratched the surface of what I want to talk to you about.
Right. Well, I hope that people check out the lines we draw, and also you were talking a lot about Brighter Green, and you could learn more about that at brightergreen.org, and you could learn more about Sangamithra Iyer and her work at sangamithra.wordpress.com, and you could read the lines we draw at ourhenhouse.org, and you could purchase it on Barnes & Noble, Amazon, or Apple's iBooks. So thank you so much for joining us today, Sangu, and for also bringing us food. We're very excited about our next segment because we've long been fans of Grammy Award-winning songwriter Julie Gold, whom you probably know best from writing From a Distance. I love that.
That's a very famous song. We're so lucky to have her.
Yeah, absolutely.
What you might not know is that Julie's long career has been informed over and over again by her love and admiration for animals. In fact, many of the songs she has written have been inspired by her relationships with animals.
I have a mouthful of this right now, but we actually shot this segment when Julie visited our studios here at Brick House recently, and we feel so lucky to have sat beside her as she let us in on why she likes cats more than people. I just am so excited that you're here with us in our hen house because you have long been speaking up for animals in your music. What kind of role do you see animals playing in your personal life and in your career?
Well, I love animals probably more than humans. Animals have had a more profound effect on me than most humans. And I think I pretty much measure my life in the cats that I have loved, starting from by the age 3, Stubby.
I know exactly what you mean, that each era of your life is marked by which animal was in it.
Absolutely.
So tell us about Stubby.
Stubby was my brother's kindergarten graduation present, and he had a stubby tail, so they named him Stubby.
Yeah.
And we still cry at the thought. We really do.
I know.
Sometimes if I'm feeling blue, I purposely go out on the street and look for a nice person with a dog. And
Or a
I
nice
get
dog
some-
with a person.
Yeah, that's even, yeah. Well, a lot of people don't like you to make a fuss over their dog. I don't like those people.
No.
You can see they don't pay attention. They're wearing headphones or something. And others are sort of looking around to see, have you noticed my dog? Yes, you may pet him or her. And those are the people I like.
Actually, our dog, when we're walking her around Brooklyn, she's like she's just like you, but she's looking for the people. She's like, here I am,
it's-
world.
It's such a deep connection.
Yeah,
you know?
but who do you have at home now?
We have 3 cats, and we love them. And, listen, I can show you. One's white. Let's see.
It's
And,
a prerequisite, actually,
yeah,
to come onto our show that you have lots of animal
I'm
hair.
coated in fur.
Yeah.
Everything I do has fur involved. Here, wait. So
How about eyelash extender?
That was
fur
impressive.
is my life.
Yeah.
So how do animals come into your music?
I think that it informs everything. Animals inform everything I do, everything I think, and everything I feel. Knowing animals has opened chambers in my heart and made me a better person in touch with every living thing, everything that is part of planet Earth under the sun.
Do you see a role in the arts and in music in particular for speaking up for animals and the underdog, as it were?
I think that any decent being tries to live by a certain example. And by living that way, maybe you can influence or affect others. I'm not saying I'm perfect or a saint or anything. I'm just saying that animals have made me a better human. I know that. Not the best human I can be by any means, but a better human.
Well, they're constantly inspiring us and motivating us to be better because they're just so pure in the way they relate to the world and to us. I mean, I find the genuineness of our dog, for example, just so refreshing. And speaking of dogs, I know that you have a lot of really magnificent songs about animals, but I went to your website the other day, and juliegold.com, and I was like, oh, Roscoe! I
my
love
God.
Roscoe!
That's such a cult New York thing, You go into another town in the country and they don't know who Roscoe is.
No.
And they deny that they have the problem, by the way. Shall we discuss it?
Roscoe solves the problem.
Well, here's the thing. We all love animals. Is it okay not to love bed bugs?
I don't know.
Does would Gandhi love bed bugs? Here's a question for the night. What would Gandhi say about bed bugs?
Well,
Or he wouldn't sleep in a bed, I guess.
Your bed.
What's that?
I think when they're in your bed, it's okay to take a stand against their residence in your bed.
And maybe Gandhi didn't sleep in a bed, so he never had bed bugs.
There you go.
It's a very good point, but let's hear Roscoe.
Okay, well, this is I used to fear identity theft. And then I feared illness, cancer in particular. And then, now, as a New Yorker, every time I have even a little itch, I think, I'm doomed.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
And then I saw this commercial, Roscoe. So I was inspired to write this song. May we never meet him
a good point.
in the
yeah.
flesh and fur.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Lassie. Everybody loves Rin Tin Tin. Everybody loves Marmaduke and Brian Griffin. Everybody loves Snoopy. Everybody loves Scooby-Doo. Everybody loves Astro and Spuds McKenzie too. But there's one dog whose name you never mention, because it draws such negative attention. His name is Roscoe, the bedbug sniffing dog. Roscoe, the bedbug sniffing dog. In all of Gotham, east to west, there's one brave dog on one lone quest. Roscoe, the bedbug sniffing dog. Everybody loves Petey. Everybody loves Hachiko. Everybody loves Benji and Eddie and Toto. Everybody loves Triumph. Everybody loves Old Yeller. Everybody loves Pongo and Marley and Spot. But there's one dog who makes you feel like wretched, 'cause it's not balls or bones that he is fetching. His name is Roscoe, the bedbug sniffing dog. Hey Roscoe, hey Roscoe, Roscoe, the bedbug sniffing dog. He'll get to your house on the double, but if you've called friend, you got trouble. Roscoe, the bedbug sniffing dog. What hell to pay? It's really rough. Is there no spray to spray that's strong enough? Even if it's toxic or illegal, send us something, just don't send the beagle. Roscoe, the bedbug sniffing dog. Hey Roscoe, hey Roscoe, Roscoe, the bedbug sniffing dog. Watch him pause in jubilation when he finds an infestation. Roscoe, the bedbug sniffing dog. No matter what, don't tell your friends, because the stigma never ends. Roscoe, the bedbug sniffing dog. Send me lice or ticks or fleas, but just don't send me bed bugs, please. Not Roscoe, the bedbug sniffing dog. Well, I wonder where he sleeps at night, and if some human hugs him tight. Roscoe, the bedbug sniffing dog. Roscoe, the bedbug sniffing dog. Call Roscoe.
I can't believe that that's the song that you asked for.
I know.
It's a great song.
Yeah, no.
And you know, even within that song, it reminded me, like, all of those dogs that you were listing, we love all of them.
All of them, man. And
They mean
all
so
of them.
much to us.
They
And
mean so much
They
to
mean
us.
so much to our culture. These dogs who have become kind of icons.
They're
for-
iconic dogs. And sometimes when I play it, people will say, you know, I counted them and I know this many. Who's such and such, or who's so and so.
It should be like a drinking game.
Yeah, that's true. Name that. Yeah, name
Every
the
dog you know.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you, not to get all Freudian on you, but I want to talk to you about your dreams.
Yes.
And by your dreams, I'm not necessarily talking about the ones that you hope for your career,
Yes.
but the ones that you have at night, because we were talking
Yes.
earlier and you were telling me about some of these animal-related dreams you have, and it really blew my mind.
This goes deep
it's
for
true.
you,
This is
doesn't it?
deep. Tell us about what you're
Well,
dreaming.
you know, they don't happen all the time, but they have happened. And when they do, it's just like amazing. First of all, I've been told that the turtle and the tortoise is my totem.
Oh,
And
okay.
I've loved turtles and tortoises all my life. I have a fascination with them. But sometimes I dream that I'm finding turtles and tortoises. I don't know. I mean,
What is that? Have you ever consulted medical help about this and gotten an opinion from?
maybe I'm shellfish. I don't know.
Okay.
But I dream that I'm finding them, discovering
I
them.
think
and
it's a great
like,
dream. Does it
Yeah.
feel good when you're doing it?
if they're under trees and stuff, it's like I'm finding diamonds. It's
Yeah.
like, wow, these turtles and tortoises have been here and I never knew it, you know. And when I've been in situations where I actually get to see them, it's just a thrill.
It's like finding the afikoman.
Yes, it's like finding the afikoman. Yes, it is. But it's a wonderful thing. I love turtles.
So
and I
do
love
wild
tortoises.
animals have a special place for you in your heart?
They do, you know. I mean, I have to be careful because I have like I can't control myself when I'm around animals, and like I'd be the one who gets their nose pecked off or something because I can't control myself. I can't bring down my enthusiasm. I just can't. So it's like, come here, boy. I'd be afraid. So I have to be careful, especially now. I know. I never would pet a dog without asking, may I pet your dog? And then I try to tone down I can't control myself.
May I French kiss your dog?
No, I just like, come here, boy. But then sometimes I've had dreams that I'm literally running like this on all fours, and there's literally rough terrain beneath my feet. I don't know what it means.
That's so interesting.
And I've also had dreams that I'm swimming with no arms or legs.
Wow.
And I'm swimming, and I'm like undulating through the water.
That's so cool. I want to have your dreams.
Yeah, I wish I had them more often. That's when I'm not like on a runaway Ferris wheel or standing naked in the movie line, or something like that.
I don't want those.
They're not,
I have those.
Or teeth falling out, or hair falling out, or missing the train, missing the boat. Believe me, they're not all beautiful dreams about swimming and running.
Yeah, but I still have the one where I'm taking the exam and I forgot to go to the course. I still
have that too. It's like, oh my God, the semester's over and I didn't even know
forgot to go.
Well, you're a professor, so it kind of suits you.
Yeah, maybe that's
do you have the kind of actor's nightmare when you show up and you're on the stage and the keyboards, the piano's there, and you have no idea what you're about to sing or play?
I have dreams that I'm trapped in a basement and I hear myself introduced. And I'm like, and then I start singing in the basement, from screaming through 10 feet thick door.
I'm getting a little bit of anxiety here. Do you have another song that you have to sing for us today?
I would love to.
I would love that.
Shall I
Julie.
tell you what it's about?
Yes, I would love to hear a little bit about what it's about.
It's a love song.
Okay.
And the truth is, I have many love songs that are inspired by animals, but nobody knows that.
No,
nobody knows that. Loss and love inspired by animals. Not everybody gets it. But this was a song written for a movie called Andre, a seal called Andre, based on that story. And it was this seal that literally would winter at the Seaquarium in Boston. And then every summer they let it out and it made its way to Maine, and it loved the town of Maine. It was a character in the town. And the story is narrated by this young tom girl to whom I related, and her relationship with Andre. So I was on my exercise bike reading this script, and my first cat, my personal first cat, Lamb Chop Gold, people knew her as Chops, she was on the bed next to me, and I'm reading this script, and all animal scripts. I can't see any animal movies. I can't.
Oh, is it too emotional for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm crying my eyes out on the exercise bike, sweating and crying. Don't picture it. And I got off the bike, and I said to Chops, "You're my inspiration for this song. And for the rest of my life, when I play this song, I'm going to think of you." And I send it out to Chops, who made it to age 18.
Wow.
Let me say that, well, I'll tell you something after it.
Yeah.
Because it's a great story. I got a lot of stories.
A little
Don't
bit
get
invested
verklempt.
in it.
Don't get verklempt.
Thank you for teaching me how to love, showing me what the word means, what I've been dreaming of. And now I know there is nothing that I could not do. Thanks to you for teaching me how to feel, showing me my emotions, letting me know what's real from what is not. What I've got is more than I ever hoped for, and a lot of what I've hoped for is thanks to you. No mountain, no valley, no time, no space, no heartache, no heartbreak, no fall from grace can stop me from believing that my love will see me through. Thanks to you. No mountain, no valley, no time, no space, no heartache, no heartbreak, no fall from grace can stop me from believing that my love will see me through. Thanks to you for teaching me how to live, putting things in perspective, showing me how to give and how to take. No mistake that we were put here together. If I break down, well, forgive me, but it's true. I am aching with the love I feel inside, thanks to you.
Thank you.
I love knowing that that song is about an animal.
It's
I mean, if you
about an
didn't tell
animal.
that story, I wouldn't know that. For me, it means so much knowing that, because they do teach us everything, don't they?
They teach us everything. I did a radio show for the Senator Bill Bradley, and I played this song, and his producer called me up before they aired it, and she said, I just want to put the songs in the right category. So that song, Thanks to You, it's about God, right? And I said, well, it's actually about a seal inspired by a cat. But if you want to think it's about God, you know, go right ahead. And that's the beauty of songwriting and songs, that you can interpret them any way you want.
Julie, I hope you don't mind my asking you this. It would make my life complete, truly, if you would perhaps play us out today with one of your most famous songs, a song for which you won a Grammy, a song that has been so close to so many of our hearts for so long. And this, of course, really encompasses what we are truly hoping for when it comes to animals and to humans. And this song, of course, is From a Distance.
I would be happy to. And thank you for having me, and thank you for making the world a better place.
Thank you.
Thank you.
From a distance, the world looks blue and green, and the snow-capped mountains white. From a distance, the ocean meets the stream, and the eagle takes to flight. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. It's the voice of hope, it's the voice of peace, it's the voice of every man. From a distance, we all have enough, and no one is in need. There are no guns, no bombs, no diseases, no hungry mouths to feed. From a distance, we are instruments marching in a common band, playing songs of hope, playing songs of peace. They're the songs of every man. God is watching us. God is watching us. God is watching us from a distance. From a distance, you look like my my friend, even though we are at war. From a distance, I can't comprehend what all this war is for. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. It's the hope of hopes, it's the love of loves, it's the heart of every man. It's the hope of hopes, it's the love of loves, it's the song of every man.
I will admit that Julie sings From a Distance a lot better than I do, even though it's
that's
one of my
kind of
karaoke.
you.
It's one of my karaoke
I
songs.
love that song so much. And I think that song is about animals as much as
Yeah.
any of her songs.
So many of her songs are about animals, and it just makes you look at the arts differently when you think about all of the animals who have influenced great pieces of art, music as well. And I'm just so inspired by that. And I'm inspired by you, Sengu. I'm very inspired by this food, and I'm going to actually grab another. This is a jerk thing you said?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to eat a jerk now.
We have now spoken on the show about their food twice, and now we've had it, and we haven't been there yet. We need to get there.
Or we can just have people bring it to us continually. Anyway, you tell people how they can learn more about our hen house while I'm swallowing.
On ourhenhouse.org.
Ourhenhouse.org. We also have a podcast, and we are over 225 episodes strong at this point, so you have quite a lot of listening to do. And you could also watch the TV show right here at ourhenhouse.org/TV, and it also streams live on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 7 o'clock. And also we have Hen Press, The Lines We Draw by Sangamithra Iyer, and an online magazine over at ourhenhouse.org, so check it out. We have a lot of fun. And I think that's it for us today. I'm going to eat more.
And there's just so much to talk about.
So much to
It
eat.
just never ends.
Thank you for joining us.